Hello and welcome back to DRT, where this week we have been looking at PS1 style horror games. A new PS1 style Resident Evil clone is coming to Steam and PS5 from the UK indie company SFB. Crow Country is a horror game set in the 90s and could be the best PS1 style 32-bit game out this year. I got to check out the demo on Steam and was really impressed by what I got to see from the survival horror showcase. So let's get into it. The year is 1990. Edward Crow has disappeared, the owner of Crow Country, a small theme park in the rural outskirts of Atlanta, Georgia. He has not been seen since he unexpectedly shut down his park 2 years ago, and the silence is broken when a mysterious young woman named Mara Forrest adventures into the heart of the abandoned theme park in order to find him. Are the disturbing rumors about Crow Country true? Who exactly is Mara Forrest? Why did they really shut down his park? Crow Country's story explores reckless human greed and the idea of an unforgettable sin. The game challenges players to uncover the truth behind Edward's disappearance and the disturbing rumors around the park. With an exploration mode for players, this means that you don't actually have to worry about being attacked by things and you can just focus on the story and the environment. The game starts you off just outside of the theme park, where you look in your trunk and you're able to get some ammunition for your handgun. It gives you some brief information about what's been going on and who you're looking for. And might I say, this dude is looking rather sketchy. You essentially break into Crow Country and start your journey. There are tips and tricks littered all around the theme park, so you can get used to the controls pretty easy from the get-go. This does use tank controls, however you can use the analog sticks to look around, which makes it a little bit more modern day. One of the first places I checked out was the toilets, and in there I found some items that were pretty handy, so it's definitely worth exploring around all the different rooms. There was something ominous about going into all the toilet stalls just to find items, and one of the stalls was actually blocked up. There's a giant bird fortune teller that you come across who will kind of guide you and tell you where to go if you're a bit stuck. One of the things that really annoyed me with this game, and it's more probably because it's just the demo, was I kept finding shotgun ammo, but I never actually found a shotgun. There is a giant crow as well, which is really freaky looking as you walk into the park. Then you reach Fairy Tale Town, which is full of these weird little mushrooms. There's things littered everywhere. You can tell it's definitely been abandoned for a long time. Some of the rides are obviously still going, but very broken down, and I'm guessing that later on in the game you find ways to make this work again, because I couldn't find anything in the demo itself, even though I did have a good look around, but it's all very run down and broken. Randomly as well, I don't know whether this was set up after things went Pete-tong, but there are bear traps littered around everywhere. There's also Polaroids hanging about as well, displaying these horrible creatures, and I'm not entirely sure what they are because they don't actually explain it to you in this demo, but there are these creatures that you come across later. Then you find a guy called Arthur who's on the floor and he's injured his leg. You actually help Arthur by repairing his leg and you end up taking him back to your car, but something seriously injured him. As you're walking around, you realize that there are parts of the park that weren't actually finished, and it kind of just goes to show that this was at one point a thriving theme park. There's lots of clues and notes hanging around everywhere you go, but it's worthwhile reading because some of them can give you clues as to where to go next and how to find stuff. There are also vending machines littered around the park, and it's worthwhile just giving them a good old kick because you don't have money on you. But if you give them a kick, sometimes they can give you items. One of the areas eventually leads you to a safe room, a bit like Resident Evil again. In there you can save, there are items littered around the place, but outside there's a bunch of these weird mechanical zombie looking things. Very creepy. One of the great things, a bit like Resident Evil though, is you can run around them and stop them from attacking you. So if you're low on ammo, that's also another thing, creating just a little bit more suspense and horror. If you go to the fireplace, that will allow you to save. There were more codes that you could put in around the place, but I couldn't find any other codes, even though there was one on the floor saying 2106. In the safe room, there's a special code that you need to say to the wooden fairy, which unlocks a secret area. This will then lead you into like a weird little fairy forest where there's a swamp where you've got to look for a key. This is another one of those cool little puzzles. Here you find out you have to mess around with a filter pump and get a pressure valve to the right pressure to be able to release the pump itself. When you eventually find the key, I had a look in another little room, which was really weird. The door literally closed as I walked in there, which was really creepy. The whole vibe just seems desolate and empty, apart from these really creepy monsters that are around. Then you come to a little fairy house after you find the key, and there is this big dig site. And it's a bit unclear as to what they're actually digging. There was some stuff you could do in this room, but again, this demo was quite limited in this respect. You couldn't actually continue on where you needed to go. I'm guessing there are other parts of this theme park where you need to go to find different cogs and things to get stuff working. All you hear is ominous groans. And then as you head back to the main area, there is this big gangly thing that I managed to destroy with grenades, which was just absolutely horrible. This really gives me hope though that some of the monsters in this game are going to be absolutely terrifying. This game takes you back to the PS1 era of horror games with its twinge of early 2000s indie feel, complete with its own atmospheric soundtrack that'll really creep you out. The aesthetics for the game are actually very similar to the PS1 Resident Evil games. You have items from various things that you find in the park at the bottom of the screen with a little description of what each thing is. Also, you have a heart monitor where it shows you your health and condition of your character. There is also a separate screen for the map and shows your current location as well as circling areas that might have an objective, which is very handy if you're like me and very impatient and want to know where to go. The demo has a nostalgic feel reminiscent of the classic PS1 survival horror genre. The chilling environments and compelling story are fantastic. The game's ability to create an eerie and atmospheric feeling is both intriguing and unsettling. The graphics and the music are easily one of the greatest things about this demo. It really takes you back to the PS1 horror game days, with a visual soundtrack that enhances the overall mood of the game. My expectations are really high for this game, and I'm looking forward to uncovering the mysteries of Crow Country and exploring its abandoned theme park setting, offering a good mix of exploration, puzzle solving, and a touch of horror that any 90s PS1 fan of the horror games can enjoy. Crow Country releases on the 9th of May 2024, and there is a demo available on both Steam and PS5, so I urge you to go out and check it out because this game is really fun. So it's safe to say this game looks a little bit creepy, a little bit spooky, and I am very excited to see what they do with this. I am 100% going to be picking this up. Would you guys be interested in this? Let us know down in the comments below. I was just blown away, and this is the first like indie retro horror game in a long time that I've actually wanted to check out. And yeah, I'm super excited. So I just wanted to come onto the channel, talk about it. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you on the next one.